What a crowd! What a crowd! Shalom Aleichem! Yeah, that's right. That's a welcome in Yiddish to this Let's Make a Spiel Purim celebration, sponsored by the Victorious Society for Humanistic Judaism, with a whole lot of help from our good friends, the Lesbians. Quickly, a couple of important messages. First, silence your cell phones, because there's going to be important literature and music taking place up here. Also, we acknowledge with respect the Lekwungen-speaking peoples on whose territory the Jewish Community Center stands. These peoples are known today as the Songhees and Esquimalt nations, whose historical relationship with the land and water continues to this day, and who have been making deeply spiritual music on this land for thousands of years. Second, we're gathered tonight to celebrate with jokes and songs and wine and treats the Jewish people overcoming a planned genocide in ancient Persia. Tragically, we had an all too real reminder yesterday of the senseless hatred and horrific violence that fueled genocide. 49 Muslim worshippers were murdered in an attack on 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. No doubt we're all feeling some combination of heartbreak and horror and outrage. The Victoria Multi-Faith Society, on whose board Sharon Kabrinsky of VSHJ serves, sent a letter of support to the Victoria Muslim community yesterday. The letter notes that it's been just 2 years since the attack on a mosque in our own country shocked all of us. The importance of not just tolerance, but real solidarity has again been brought home to us. Victorians, regardless of faith, and often because of their faiths, stand with you, the Muslim community, in grief and sadness today. Amen. Back to Purim. The story, which historians doubt ever really happened, is written in the Scroll of Esther, or Megillat Esther, one of the many books in the Bible, though not one of the top 5. I think it's the only book of the Torah, which is what Jews call the Bible, in which God is never mentioned. We humanistic Jews see in Purim, the holiday, the lesson that the Jewish people acted cleverly and bravely to save themselves. Other Jews point to what they see as the hidden hand of God. Whatever your perspective on this, we all can agree that the Purim story hinges on hidden and revealed identities, thus the emphasis on costumes. And just like Hanukkah is the only time Judaism sanctions gambling, on Purim, Jews are urged to poke fun at everything and everyone, particularly our leaders. And that's what we'll do this evening in our slightly fractured retelling of the Purim story, followed immediately by a klezmer concert and a special Purim treat. Ready?
Yeah.
You're listening to CPBC, a Certain People's Broadcasting Corporation. Welcome to Let's Make a Spiel, your annual radio celebration of the Purim holiday. If by annual you mean a range of anywhere between 11 and 13 months. I'm your host, Mountie Hall, the lesser-known brother who never got off the Chesterfield. And now say hello to the best cast we could wrangle in front of the studio at 6 p.m. How y'all doing?
Oh, not so good.
There is Mir.
My head hurts like you wouldn't believe.
My prostate's the size of a freshly baked challah.
The Jews, everybody, we came to Canada for the free exercise of religion and stayed for the free geriatric care.
Let's start this spiel already. I'm gonna miss my mahjong game.
And the whole thing is congealing as they speak.
Folks, we have just 2 ground rules for tonight's performance. One is for you to make a lot of negative noise. That's why we have the noisemakers. Make that noise anytime we mention the villain of the Purim story, the Jewish people's eternal enemy, Haman. Wow, you've done this before, huh? The other rule is to applaud everyone else. Our story begins in the rec room of the royal palace in Shushan, capital of the ancient Persian Empire. King Ahasuerus and his minions, that's minions, definitely not minion, are celebrating their conquest of the Jewish people with a banquet that has lasted for 6 months.
Yo, dude, pass some of the smoked camel. I have a wicked case of the munchies.
Right? These banquets are so awesome since King Ahasuerus legalized recreational cannabis throughout the Persian Empire.
Even in Egypt?
Especially in Egypt. How do you think they came up with hieroglyphics?
Yo, King Ahasuerus, is this goblet of wine watered down?
That's fake news. Totally fake news. I assure you there's no dilution. No dilution.
Sorry, Your Highness. Hey, how about some entertainment at this banquet?
Well, I haven't practiced my glockenspiel for 6 months now.
No, Your Awesomeness. We mean some real entertainment.
Like Queen Vashti?
I don't know if she should play my glockenspiel in front of everyone.
No, let's see her. All of her.
Oh, summon Queen Vashti, tell her to appear wearing nothing but her crown.
Queen Vashti is seated in her chambers, futzing with her hair. Is that color natural or from a bottle? Only her attending eunuch knows for sure. Suddenly, a scroll arrives containing the king's order.
Appear naked before the king. May he drink too much castor oil. And before those Persian potheads, he's out of his adult mind. Besides, the palace rec room is much too chilly and damp. And they might see the scars from my augmentations. Oh, why did I ever give up my promising career as a softcore porn model in the Balkans to marry Ahasuerus?
I always thought he won you over with his scepter.
That tiny thing?
As your faithful eunuch, it's my duty to point out that the king's order is one in an unfortunate series of boorish assaults upon your regal dignity and your human rights.
You're one smart eunuch. So, why are you working in the public sector? The Persian government has been closed for 6 months because of that Farkakta banquet. You should try the private sector. You know, the cannabis business is basically unregulated.
Actually, a eunuch friend and I are about to launch Persia's first software company.
Oh, really? And what will you two eunuchs call your software business?
Sadly, that's one thing we haven't figured out yet.
Well, I have to figure out how to answer the king. How about this? Life in this palace is awful. The king is rude and slothful, and his misdeeds, they're all called wrong.
And now a word from the sponsor of this first segment of today's program, Cannabisol, Vancouver Island's smallest Jewish-owned dispensary. At Cannabisol, the marijuana's a mechaya, the hashish is Hamish, the edibles are certified kosher, and the prices, it's like buying wholesale. Schlep on down to Cannabisol, located wherever I happen to temporarily park my car. You can even place your order in Yiddish.
Hey, you! In the 1976 Pontiac Acadian? Would you be willing to lower your window?
Yes, Bubala, how may I help you?
Well, I've walked all the way from Colwood to acquire some of your wicked weed.
Kenahora. What kind would you like?
I'd like some Indica for the wonderful body buzz, and some Sativa for the way it winds me up with energy.
Ma'am, those marijuana strains are pronounced indica and sativa, even in Yiddish.
What, you think I'm a half-wit? Mine lit Vag Zeta taught Yiddish when we were in Warsaw before the war. And he always said Indica and Sativa.
Okay, a sale's a sale, no matter how you pronounce the product.
Thanks, honey, but I don't have no money. Can I pay you with a pugu?
Well, okay. Okay, but my Galitzianer Zadie pronounced it Kegel.
And they wonder why I smoked the weed.
Have a sativa, have a sativa, have a sativa, it's legal now. Have a sativa, have a sativa, have a sativa, it's legal now. Indica's also sweet, pairs well with milk or meat. Highly or heavy meat, it's legal now. Indica's also sweet, pairs well with milk or meat. Highly or heavy meat, it's legal now. Smoke it, bake it, eat it. Rub it on your afflicted sinews. Too hard drugs, you won't continue. If you live here or you're a tourist, cannabis will relieve your tourist. Have it somewhere. Each way's okay. Just get it into you. Have weed on Shabbos, have weed on Shabbos, have weed on Shabbos, it's legal now. Have weed on Shabbos, have weed on Shabbos, have weed on Shabbos, it's legal now. Grab something pink and green, read the Sabbath clean. Should have a special sheen, it's legal now. Grab something pink and green to read the Sabbath clean. She'll have a special sheen, it's legal now. Smoke it, bake it, eat it. Rub it on your afflicted sinew. Too hard drugs to continue. If you're here or you're a tourist, cannabis will relieve your tourist. Have it somewhere. Each way's okay. Just get it into you. Cannabisol, where Van Isles Jews go to get high. We return to the dank rec room at Shushan Palace, where the king has learned that Vashti refuses to appear in the nude. You might say King Ahasuerus was rebuffed.
You provide your queen a solid gold toilet, and this is the thanks you get. Oh well, what's on Fox News?
Oh, now I understand why we call you Your Highness.
I don't want to harsh your mellow, Your Highness, but you would be wise to answer Vashti's insubordination with anger,
With revenge.
with misogyny.
Right? If the women of the empire hear that Vashti got away with refusing your request, what chance do any Persian men have with our wives?
No biggie. We'll just conquer some more nations and seize their women. Women love that. They love it.
But that could take weeks. Especially with the government shut down.
We must get rid of Vashti permanently.
I know. The king will smite her with his scepter.
That tiny thing?
I've got it. We'll sign her up for the BC Lions. Lately, they're always getting killed.
Good thinking, your dudeness. But then, what will you do for a new queen?
Even you can't live on Russian hookers alone.
I'm willing to try. In fact, get me 2 hookers and 20 gallons of water.
I know a refreshingly sexist way to find a new queen. Let's hold an empire-wide beauty pageant.
Only empire-wide?
As king, you can barge into the pageant locker room whenever you want.
Well, what are you waiting for? Spread the word. Your king is looking for a stunner.
Did you say a stoner?
That would be nice too.
It's usually at this point in the Purim story that people begin to wonder, wait a minute, aren't we supposed to see some Jews? Well, now you will. News of the beauty pageant spread throughout the vast empire. One of the first to hear about it was a Jew named Mordecai, who often sat near the palace gate listening for useful information. Yes, our hero was a bit of a yenta. Mordecai hurried home to share the news with his niece Esther. She was the beautiful young Jewish woman he was raising, for reasons unspecified in the scroll of Esther.
Esther, I'm home, and I have some exciting news.
You were eavesdropping at the palace again, Uncle Mordecai.
What then? I should watch pot stews?
No, what did you hear at the palace?
Besides all the inhaling, Esther, I found a way to secure your future.
You finally bought some life insurance.
Even better, the king, may he lose all his teeth except one, and that should have a toothache, is holding a beauty pageant to select a new queen. You're going to enter.
What, me? Well, I suppose I do exude a certain 1980s Pamela Anderson vivacity.
I hear there'll be a town contest. Remember to pack all 7 of your veils.
And now a word from another of our sponsors. If you're one of the many Persian gals planning to enter the royal beauty pageant, and who doesn't want to be queen, don't let a little blemish render you trafe. Right, Mrs. Lotion?
That's right, Mountie. In today's kosher meat market of a world, you can't look nothing less than perfect if you want to pass the inspection. That's why I'm here to tell you about my wonderful skin product that's been used by my daughter, by me.
And you do have a lovely complexion.
Why, thank you, Mountie. This skin product was used by my mother, by her mother before her. What I'm talking about? By Mama Lotion, of course. The skin product handed down from generation to generation and recommended by 4 of the 5 rabbis. Just offer the jar of Mama Lotion and apply 3 large handfuls to the skin.
Is that all?
No. Then you knead your cheeks, form them into 3 strands, and braid them. No, wait, that's how you make the chalkoi veil so famished.
Does this confusion happen often?
No, just in the morning after I apply to my face 3 handfuls of the mama lotion.
Gewalt, what's in mama lotion?
Let's see. 1 part beeswax, 1 part schmaltz, and 2 parts of the hash oil.
Hash oil?
Well, I think of the abyssal with the recipe after the king legalized weed.
Mama lotion. But you don't want better skin? Esther was one of dozens of pageant contestants to arrive at the palace. They immediately were assigned to the harem for 12 months of primping. The king occasionally barged in to have a peek, if by occasionally you mean every evening at 7:30. Finally, the day of the pageant arrived.
Look at these, Shayna Mela. This is even better than my last trip to Moscow.
You can see them through all this smoke.
Hey, this stuff is supposed to be good for my glaucoma.
Hey, how will you choose the winner?
Usually, when there's an important decision, I go with my gut. But for picking my queen, I think I'll focus my thoughts about 15 centimeters down. Or up. Hey, you and the 7 veils, save the last dance for me.
The good news is that Esther became the first Jewish woman to serve as queen outside of the Holy Land. Not that the king had any inkling of her identity. The bad news is that her uncle Mordecai couldn't wish her a mazel tov, since the palace technically was restricted. Besides, Mordecai was seated near the palace gate, eavesdropping on 2 palace guards.
Oh, Teresh, we live in a desert, so how come it's raining like January in Victoria?
There's a reason. The sound effects person had a spare sheet of metal. You know, my brother-in-law, the soothsayer, predicted that volatile weather like this will spread across the entire world in about 2,500 years.
That sounds like a Babylonian hoax to me.
No. I hear that 97% of Persian soothsayers are predicting the same thing.
Yeah, well, I wonder what they have to say about our other problem, that we've been standing at this frickin' gate for 6 months without pay.
Word, Big Tan. It's the public sector employees who are the true victims of the Persian government shutdowns.
Dude, I'm so weak from hunger that my shoes have uncurled.
Maybe we can pawn our swords for a little cash.
That sounds better than holding another garage sale.
Actually, I know the best place to take these swords. Into the royal bedroom at midnight.
Oh, yeah, we could deposit them in the king's abdomen.
That'll end the shutdown.
You betcha. Suddenly everybody will be paid again. Paid to look for us.
No worries. We'll flee someplace so cold, so dark, that no one would dare follow us.
Siberia?
Not cold enough?
Antarctica?
Not dark enough.
Oh, what could be colder and darker than those godforsaken places?
Dude, you're forgetting Winnipeg!
Some big news. I, Mordecai the Jew, will report this plot to the authorities.
So Mordecai contacted the RCMP, the Royal Constabulary Monitoring Persia, and turned in Bigtan and Teresh. They were found guilty of conspiracy and, ironically, exiled to Winnipeg. Meanwhile, with many palace officials indicted for colluding with Babylonia, King Ahasuerus appointed a new premier. This official wore a 3-cornered hat on his head and a dog whistle around his neck. He was a descendant of the Amalekites, the Israelites' mortal enemies. He also was opposed to green policies like cap and trade.
I wouldn't trade my three-cornered cap for anything.
Moreover, he demanded that the empire return to a more traditional sex education curriculum.
All Persians should worship my household fertility goddess.
To make matters worse, a recently discovered scroll shows the new premier's brother smoking crack. Who was this new official?
Tell us already, my mahjong game is about to start.
Okay. The new premier's name was Haman!
I've always heard that Canadians were polite. No matter. Here's my first official command. Wish me muzzle tov! I have been chosen your prime minister. I have a tendency towards sinister, and my excuses are the thinnest, sir. So bend your knee and bow down to me. Let's make the Persian Empire great again. 'Tis now the season to show hate again, and it is treason not to say amen. Now bend your knee and bow down to me. Oh boy, this is great. Here in the Haman Nation, near the palace gate. Hey, you there pretending to read the forewords when you're really eavesdropping? Who are you not to bow down to me? Mordecai.
Well, Haman?
Is anything hurting you, Mordecai? How are you doing today?
Page 9.
Well, Haman, my name is Mordecai, and my Jewish faith does not permit me to bow to anyone but the eternal God, blessed be He. Also, my lower back is bothering me.
Of all the nerve. I haven't felt this dist since Athens demanded to renegotiate our free trade agreement. I must talk to the king.
So Haman scurried into the palace, but Ahasuerus had gone forth to play a round of his favorite game, Persian golf.
The only problem is that 90%, 99% of Persia is one giant sand trap. Total sand trap.
Haman was so impatient. I'm just going on. Was so impatient to find the king that he personally searched all of the local country clubs, except for the one founded by Persia's Jews. That's right, folks. The new premier refused to enter the chosen people's Gulf and Country Club. Meanwhile, King Ahasuerus, worried that I'd try to fit in another joke, hurried back to the palace.
So, Haman, you wish to speak to your kin, who you totally adore?
Yes, I do, Your Majesty, yes. There is, and here I quote myself from the Scroll of Esther, a certain people, scattered and dispersed among the other peoples in all the provinces of your realm, whose laws are different from those of any other people and who do not obey the king's laws, and it is not in your Majesty's interest to tolerate them.
Okie dokie.
Your Highness, maybe you didn't understand me just now.
No, I definitely did not just understand you right now.
I'll use shorter words. There are some bad hombres in the Empire and at the border. We must kill them and steal their stuff.
Whoa, dude. Shouldn't I be the one who's a little bit paranoid? Okay, you may do with that certain people as you see fit, and you can even use my official signet ring on any laws you make. It even has a super cool decoder. I'll leave you now to whatever you need to do. Toodly-doo.
Oh yeah! I beat the king and scored a 3-cornered hat trick. Just call me the hate one. The MVP, most vindictive Persian. I'll throw lots, which, by the way, the Jews call Purim, to determine the day on which the Persian people will rise up and murder the Jews and loot their possessions. I don't mind saying I've had my eye on Mordecai's Rocket Richard autographed skates. Let's throw these lots to determine when that fateful day of death and destruction will be. The 13th of the month of Adar. You may be wondering why I'm using the Hebrew date. It's because the 13th of Adar comes early this year.
Wow! Suddenly the plot is thicker than the gravy on a plate of artisan poutine. Of course, the ever-nosy Mordecai quickly heard about Haman's plan. He rushed to the palace to see Esther.
Knock, knock. Are you there in your chambers, Esther?
Let me open this door. Oh, I'm so glad to see you. But how did you get past the palace guards?
It's amazing what you can accomplish with a 10-bit snack pack.
Oh.
But I don't have time to talk about donuts, not even Hamataschen. Esther, have you heard the awful news?
You mean the leaks in the pipelines carrying unrefined momoloshin from Alberta? What do you expect from ancient technology?
Oh, Esther, something even worse than a hash oil spill. Haman has decreed that the Persian people should rise up and kill all of the Jews on the 13th of Adar, which comes early this year. Esther, you must intercede with the king.
Hey, I'm safe, Uncle Mordecai. Haman and the king, they don't even know that I'm Jewish. And you, well, you're 41 years old, you've lived a nice long life. Don't take this the wrong way, you altar cocker, but did you include me in your will, right?
I spent all of these gold coins on your Hebrew school education, just so you could turn your back on your people?
My people have a tendency toward patriarchal sexism and a propensity for, dare I say it, Uncle Mordecai, dare I say it? It's a propensity for over-dramatization.
Look, I'll be remembered as a prophet, so I have it on good authority that the Jewish people will begin to deal with the sexism in, about, let's say, 2,500 years. You'll see. However, I think we're kind of stuck with the over-dramatization.
Okay, say I go and talk to the king. May he grow like an onion with his head in the ground. Without an invitation, if he doesn't lift his scepter, I could be executed, or worse, exiled to Winnipeg.
Oh. Esther, my dear, could you really sit by while your people are being murdered? Bigger, better, you're have time after you. Oh, you've got to go and do it.
Yes, I've got to go and do it.
One night, King Ahasuerus found himself unable to sleep. Maybe he'd smoked too much sativa too close to bedtime. It happens. So he called for his servant to read from the Royal Chronicles.
It says here in the Chronicles that 5 years ago, Mordecai the Jew saved your royal tuchus by spoiling the assassination plot of the guards, Bigtan and Teresh.
Servant, who you adore me. You know I don't read, so you're gonna have to tell me, what did the Chronicles report that I gave to Mordecai as a reward?
Nothing. Not even a pair of socks.
Uh-oh. Don't tell my mother, who's totally hot, by the way. She'd kill me. Now go see if any of my keeners are available in the court. I must figure out how to reward Mordecai.
Your premium is the only person loitering at this ungodly hour.
Well, servant, who totally adores me, don't just stand there, call him in.
Oh, Mr. Hammond! The king will see you now.
Excellent. This is the private meeting I was hoping to snag. Now I'll convince the king, may his stomach rumble so badly that he thinks it's a grogger, to allow me to hang Mordecai the Jew on the extra tall gallows I've commissioned. Heck, I've already gotten his support for my Buck a Beer campaign. Now, if only someone would invent beer. Your Majesty, thanks for seeing me.
Haman. I'll get right to the point. What shall be done for the man whom the king delights to honor?
He must be referring to me, Haman. Who else deserves honors in this godforsaken Proto-Iran? Oh man, this is like shooting at an empty net. Well, I recall that your Majesty usually gives his honoree a fountain pen, but this sounds like a special case where we should not stint on spending the taxpayers' money. So I recommend that the king offer his finest apparel, and his favorite horse, and his royal crown. And these should be delivered to one of the king's most noble princes, so that the noble prince may array the honoree and guide him on horseback through the streets of the city and proclaim, "This is the man whom the king delights to honor."
Great idea. Amen.
The king is buying it.
In fact, I'm entrusting you to present these honors to Mordecai the Jew.
What? Hey, your Majesty, are you sure that's how we should be spending taxpayers' money?
So Haman honored his mortal enemy Mordecai, just as the king had ordered. The Persian premier comforted himself only by thinking of the coming 13th of Adar, when all of Persia's Jews would be massacred. But someone else was aware of the approaching fateful date, Queen Esther.
It's no use putting it off. I, Esther, have to go see the king. May his feet be twisted. Even though it's been months since he invited me for a visit, if Ahasuerus rejects me, that will mean my death. But if he raises his scepter, there's still hope for saving my people. Your Highness, may I see you?
Why, yes, your Thinus. See what I did there? Thinus.
As always, You display the brilliance of the wise men of Helm, Your Majesty.
Thank you. But isn't that a Jewish reference?
Yes, but shouldn't we know something about the people we're going to eradicate?
It's never stopped me before, eh?
True that, but isn't A a Canadian expression?
I've been binge watching reruns of Wayne and Schuster.
Well, anything's better than Pox News. Now, Ahasuerus, sweetie, I'm hosting a banquet tomorrow for just you and your premier, Haman. Be there or be schwer.
Well, that's not exactly the threesome of my dreams, but neither is another night with Johnny Wayne and Frank Schuster.
And now a word from another of our sponsors. The message of the Purim story is that we should be like Mordecai and Esther. Yet neither of those heroes carried a cell phone or shopped at Canadian Tire. How then can we modern Van Islanders emulate our Purim heroes without actually doing something heroic? We can travel like them, slowly and uncomfortably. At BCE Ferries, we transport our customers on Vancouver Island's finest galley ships. Our enslaved oarsmen row from Swartz Bay to Tawasin in just 3 days and 2 nights, assuming a brisk tailwind. How do we do it? BCE Ferries eliminates unnecessary weight. Who needs cabins when passengers can huddle on the open deck in the invigorating gale force winds? For their daily meal, passengers choose between 2 types of salted mackerel. But the cuisine hardly matters, since most passengers can't keep their food down anyway. And on BCE Ferries, the entertainment is non-stop. No matter where the customers huddle, they can hear the percussive crack of the slave master's whip. BCE Ferries, travel like you're living before the Common Era. Tell them Mordecai and Esther sent you.
When Esther's invitation for the banquet reached Haman, he was beside himself with joy. Which isn't to say there suddenly were 2 of them. Thank goodness, because we don't have enough actors.
Wow, this is the threesome of my dreams.
The time for Esther's banquet finally arrived. Haman entered the palace at 7 o'clock sharp, 6:30 in Newfoundland. Esther had ordered in a tray from the Lock, Schlock, and Peril Deli, and even the Jew-hating premier had seconds on blintzes. By the way, there are still a few product placement opportunities in today's program. See me during the next song. But the conversation among the 3 diners felt a bit awkward.
Nice weather we're having here. Best weather we've ever had, ever. It's always the best weather.
Oh, you betcha.
Yeah. How about them Canucks, eh? They're tremendous.
They're really lighting the lamp in the old barn.
If I may interject, gentlemen.
Feel free. But first of all, what does interject? What do you mean by that?
That I need to speak, your schlemielness, and God visit upon you the best of the 10 plagues.
Why, thank you, I think, Esther. So what's your request? It shall be granted, even up to half the kingdom.
If, and I'm quoting my scroll here, if I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it pleases the king, let life be given to me and my people the Jews, for we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish.
That's funny. She doesn't look Jewish.
Esther, who is he, and where is he that plans to harm you and your people?
Is it getting warm in here?
The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman.
Let's not lose our heads. Oops, wrong metaphor.
I need a moment alone in the garden to think. A little bit of executive time. You know how hard thinking is for me.
So Haman threw himself upon Esther's bed to plead for his life. Which sounds weird, but that's what it says in the scroll of Esther. Just then, the king re-entered the room and said something like,
Whoa! Will this hoser force himself upon the queen in this palace?
This definitely is not my day.
Your Majesty, as your historically forgotten royal chamberlain, Harbona, it is my duty to remind you that Haman built gallows at his home intended for Mordecai, who had saved the king's life.
Even I can figure out what to do now. Hang Haman. Tremendous on those tremendous gallows, and his 10 sons as well.
That's my kind of minion.
the king removed the signet ring from Haman and presented it to the new premier, Mordecai.
Finally, I'm picking the best people.
Well, this nepotism is good for the Jews, Your Majesty, but it's not enough to save us. Please issue a new law permitting us to defend ourselves.
The king called in his scribes. Mordecai dictated commands to the Jews and the rulers of the 127 provinces and territories of the Persian Empire, stretching from India to Ethiopia to Manitoba.
The king decrees that on the 13th of Adar, which comes early this year, the Jews, wherever they are, should gather together and defend themselves. They should destroy, slay, and cause to perish all the people who would assault them, including little ones and women, and take their possessions as spoils.
Little ones and women? Gewalt! It's a good thing historians believe the Purim story never actually took place.
And in every province and territory, in every city, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, since they didn't need a weatherman to tell which way the wind was blowing. And on the 13th of Adar, which came early, the Jews gathered in all 127 provinces and territories, and no enemy could withstand them. And all the rulers of the provinces and officers of the king helped the Jews, because they feared Mordecai.
It's good to be premier.
I, Queen Esther, have good news and bad news.
What's the good news?
That we Jews have slain all our enemies, and I've declared the anniversary of this victory to be a Jewish celebration called Purim.
I like the name Purim. It's much more festive than, say, Feast of Preemptive Slaughter. What's your bad news?
I'm still married to King Ahasuerus.
Now we ask, but we won't pester. Joy, we won't pester. Give a shout out to Queen Esther. Joy, she's courageous and too bluish. Joy, and too bluish. Makes us happy to be Jewish. Joy,
episode of Let's Make a Spiel. I'm Mountie Hall, wishing you success in your quest to drink so much wine that you can't distinguish between blessed be Mordecai and cursed be Haman. Hey, that's what the Talmud says. Friends, stick around for a great set of klezmer tunes culminating in a special Purim treat. So grab a glass of wine, it's coming out soon. No dilution, no dilution. And some hamantaschen and have a seat or hit the